Hello, my name is Adrienne Lee from Adrienne Lee Joywork, and this is your Moonday Message for the week of June 15th, 2020. Wow, the energies that are available for us this week are pretty full, pretty juicy, pretty intense. We have multiple levels of energetic opportunities coming at us this week. On Saturday, we have the dark moon, which also aligns with solstice on June 20th. So, a really potent portal that I've been talking about in various different ways. And in particular, there is also a partial solar eclipse that day. And so, we are this week coming to the midpoint of this eclipse season. It began with full moon just a little bit ago and had a partial lunar eclipse, and now we are moving into solstice, dark moon, partial solar eclipse. So we're in this space where duality is really being called forward, where we're really beginning to look at the way that our brains work and the way our society works and the way we've structured culture with this very black and white dynamic. And I didn't mean to make a pun there, but here it is, where we have created and been birthed into a way of thinking about things. Yes, no, right, wrong. There's not a lot of space for nuance. There's not a lot of space to co-create something new. And so we're in this eclipse time, this portal with lunar eclipses and solar eclipses and just the power of opposites and what happens when those become integrated. What happens when we allow our minds to accept those as yin and yang, and then we allow what's next to unfold and be birthed. And on top of this, astrological field that we're playing in, on Friday we have Juneteenth, which is a major holiday for people of color in the country where I live, the United States. It is the date in which Congress read that slavery was ended. It is the official date on record that slavery came to an end in this country, June 19th, and it's referred to as Juneteenth. And as I've been thinking and talking about this upcoming holiday, it's been so interesting how many of my friends, myself included a few years ago, weren't aware of what this holiday was, even though it's technically on the books as a national holiday. It's just one more example of the closeted systemic racism that is still present in our culture. And so we have this week where, again, we've been going through all this tumultuousness collectively regarding social justice and racial equality. And it's centering around this particular date, which hasn't been really acknowledged or given much place. And we're still coming out of COVID-19. There's just all of this energy percolating where we're being offered the opportunity to choose and step into a softer place of, I don't know. I know that what is here isn't right, but I don't exactly know how to create the future. I have some ideas, you have some ideas. And the energy that I'm sensing is that this week is a place where polarized opposites may be able to find a little bit of space and come a little bit closer to finding what the truth is and what the next steps are moving forward. Coming a bit closer to where change can happen, abiding change that will last for some time. And the cards that came to support, first we have the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords speaks to getting really clear on the actions that we are taking and the energy that we're expending, and making sure that it is aligned with our own personal truth and is also actually moving things forward so that it's being productive, it's being efficient. So a good example of this is if you are posting a lot on your Instagram account regarding social justice, but you never make a donation or attend a rally or sign a petition, you know, it's beautiful to do those things, but is it actually work that is progressing the movement forward? Just a personal example then, I always want to have a meal plan dialed and know what I'm going to feed my children. But if I don't sit down and actually make the shopping list or make some structure and make a plan of what meals I'm going to eat, then I'm just going to keep going to the store more than once a week and wondering what's going to be for dinner. It's just, that's the microcosm, and here's the macrocosm. So if we want to affect change, not only in our life, but in our community, in our spaces, in our family, in our country, we have to walk our talk. So the Seven of Swords says this is a week to walk our talk. But it comes with the medicine of we don't have to walk everyone else's talk. We just have to figure out what our truth is, what our activation point is, what we are hoping to help support and move forward, and then start taking some actions to do so, right? And it's supported by several cards here. The first card that came through is the Knight of Wands. And so the wands are connected with our intuition, they're connected with our innate intelligence, they are connected with the element of air, of freedom, movement, and the knight is always the one who moves forward and seeks adventure. And so I'm sensing with this first card that there is a settling collectively in the bones of our external circumstances, and a little bit of spaciousness to where we can actually begin to start choosing to not move out of fear, but to move out of purpose, to move with curiosity rather than reactivity. I'm sensing with these first two card pulls that the energy present for us this week is one that is allowing the action to continue, to allow momentum to continue in life, in what is moving through this eclipse portal, but that it can have an element of curiosity to it and not push because it's reactionary. So the swords are fire, and we have this wands, which are air. And so the energy this week, there's going to be another push of energy, another push collectively for society, for our collective experience, another burning away of the veils. So just know that that's the energy present. Know that we have a big week this week, as I mentioned at the beginning. And so there will be a big release happening towards the end of the week. And that's beautiful. We need these things. We've been collectively in such a contraction for such an extended period of time, sitting in the unknown, and that tends to collect the energy, swirl the energy, and we're getting to a place where we need to let some of that go, allow it to move, allow it to release. The third card that came to support in this energy is the card of Rejuvenation. In some decks, this would be the card called Judgment. It's a card of reckoning and finding freedom within ourselves, within our bodies, within our lived experience, by coming into integration, coming into acknowledgement, and then rebirthing through that process. So it is a card of knowing that we are moving through a death process, right? Collectively. That is the energy present. And it's literally worldwide right now. Social justice issues have just exploded in every continent on the planet. Over 50 countries have begun protesting in support of what our country is moving through. The people want change, and there is a collective desire and longing for true freedom and liberation. It is our birthright as animals on this planet. And it's really our culture and these systemic things that have been put into place well before any of us were birthed that are containing and preventing us from reaching that goal as a species. And so rejuvenation speaks to how personal individual liberation helps to liberate the whole. And so the energy this week is going to be bold. We're being asked to step forward, to call ourselves and each other forward, to ignite and activate what our personal belief systems are, and begin to make progress and push for change that we feel is appropriate in our communities, and to allow that power and juice and excitement to land in the bones that this is a rebirthing, and it can be one on a personal level as well. When we begin to do this personal work, when we begin to look at and dismantle our own biases, because we have all been born into systems and culture that are sexist and racist and classist. Those have been indoctrinated and inundated into our brains and into our reactions and our belief systems. And it doesn't mean that we're bad people. It doesn't mean that anything is inherently bad. It means that we are learning and evolving. This is not only a time of revolution, it's a time of evolution. And that only happens when we allow what was subconscious to become conscious, and when we allow ourselves to be reborn, to rejuvenate, to accept what is. And instead of shaming and blaming ourselves, we instead integrate it and know that it no longer is in alignment with who we are. And if you feel the feelings of shame or guilt, that's okay. But we don't need to hold on to them. We can process them, move through, because we want to, again, engage this Seven of Swords. We want to, again, be present in actions that actually create and shift change, both internally and externally. And if we sit in the cesspool of shame and fear, we're not actually making motions forward. The animal card that came to support the big energies this week, we've got my friend the bat, number 42. And the medicine of bat that I'm really being drawn to is their way of moving in the world that is so unique. They use echolocation and move through sonar, through sound. They fly blindly, but they know where they're going because they can hear themselves. They can hear their own truth. And I believe that it is bat medicine that would really support our collective experience moving forward. If we could all soften a little and accept that none of us really know exactly what needs to happen in the future. There are so many opinions and so many variables and so many big emotions and feelings, and they're all valid. None of them are right or wrong. They're all valid. They're yours to own. That's your experience. And yet we are creating new collective contracts. We're creating a new societal paradigm, which requires all of us to have some buy-in in order for them to work. And so how do we create that? How do we create a new society that we have no template for? I think BAT can support us in that. If we can allow and surrender to the fact that we're flying blind, we're not following a template, and that what we do know is that we're done with inequality, we're done with racism, we're done with sexism, we're done with these ways in which we oppress one another. If we can follow the sound of our own truth, moving towards that point of liberation in every choice that we make, we can know in our hearts that we're doing the best we can as we fly blindly. And that, yes, we're going to make some mistakes. And yes, it's going to be slow as we're getting these wheels turning. And yes, it's not going to be perfect or make everyone happy, but it's going to be good. It's going to be different. It's going to be change that has been much needed for a very long time. So as you move through this week, if you feel the energy become intense, if you feel a new wave of sensation come through you and over you, I invite you to call in curiosity as well as some real compassion in knowing that your animal body has been really stressed for a really long time. It's been a stressful many months, and it's continuing to be stressful. And we don't really know where we're going, and that's okay. That's okay too. The birth canal is sometimes a painful and unknown place, but there's so much goodness on the other side if we just open ourselves to it. This has been an extra long message. I hope that it serves you well and that you have everything that you need and that you know what your truth is so that you can begin walking your talk. We'll see you next Monday.